Hey, how are you? Um, I like it when people do video responses to me, but it's like, if you can't pronounce my name, it means you don't know what Taoism is. I mean, some people do pronounce it Taoism, but it's just not. Nah. Taoism is an amazing way of thought. It's not a religion, by the way. Um, it's just extremely universal teachings. Nietzsche thought of philosophy more as a hygiene, you know, than a kind of way to think things when you're experiencing a specific event. It's more of an attitude, and Taoism is extremely essential to just going with the flow of things. Um, anyway, Darren Brown, he did an amazing video. I saw it a while back, but I want to bring it up. It's called the Undertaker trick, in which he talks to an undertaker. He just gives him these photos and tells him to put them in this side, you know, and then put some on that side if you feel different about it. It turns out that every person he picked, every person he put on that side was someone who was alive, and this side was someone who had already passed. This isn't this isn't magic psychology trickster shit. This is actual aura, influence. The real question is like, what would he is he just picking up on the energy of that person, so the family's external thoughts are still out there and he's thinking of it, or is it if he was in space, would it be harder for him to like psychically get their energy, based off of the people who knew them? I find this much more than coincidence, and Darren Brown time after time does stuff that doesn't seem to be psychological trickster stuff. It's just real shit, and yet he's skeptical of certain things. It's like back and forth. But anyway, I like music so much. I mean, I'm posting all this music. It's my name itself, Taoist. Once again, it's just mysticism, Taoism slash music. Half of my channel is about music. Like Napoleon said, music is a voice that tells the human race that he is higher than he knows, or that it is higher than it knows. It's so true. I think music is going to be, part of the shift. And this is just little previews of helping you with that temperament shift that might come in the future. It's just medication. And listening to the Pinchbeck Hancock conversation is so good. They're saying the excuse that, like, well, if meditation versus hallucination, like, hallucination is a shortcut, psychedelics. But what's wrong with the shortcut, That's kind of the question. Like, they kind of screw themselves whenever anyone says that, oh, it's just a shortcut. They screw themselves because they're admitting that it works in a sense. If anyone ever says that, your argument could be, well, you're admitting that it works, so what's wrong with the shortcut? You know? Um, oh God, another Aquarius just totally unifies everything for him. Francis Bacon. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, "A little philosophy inclineth man's mind to atheism, but in-depth philosophy bringeth man's mind back to religion." And I could just say spirituality. I've said it in another video, but it's totally relevant because it's like I first studied the Matrix, then I went to Nietzsche, then I went to astrology, then I went to 2012. It's just getting, the more you know that something is spiritual around us. And Emerson is an extremely great soul, if you want to know this. Emerson, his very first 30-page book, Nature, is about the spirituality of nature. Everyone calls him a transcendentalist, self-reliance. Everyone is Thoreau. Thoreau took Emerson too seriously and went to Walden. Yeah, it's an influential book. But Emerson said it himself, when I said self-reliance, I didn't mean, living in the mud. It's intellectual self-reliance. And just so everyone wants to tangibilize ideas, but it's a spiritual concept, self-reliance. Last idea. The orbit of the moon is 384,000 kilometers, or something to that extent. That's a very significant number because that's the exact amount of, 384, the exact amount of lines in all the I Ching hexagrams, which create time wave 0, which is 2012. Okay. And what I learned just recently in the Hancock Pinchbeck conversation again was that the moon's diameter is exactly 2,160 British miles wide. 2160, the exact amount of years in one zodiacal age. You know, and if McKenna found the I Ching, and if 384 is the lunar, you know, that's the amount of lunar days, and the moon's diameter itself is 2160, it's like the measurement, the physical measurement. By the way, no one knows where we got the mile from. It's not some thing that, you know, Christopher Columbus made up. The mile is it. The concept of a mile is extremely old. But anyway, the moon and precession, the orbit of the moon, Jesus, you know. By the way, my grandpa's name, I'm not blood related to him, but, you know, nurture over nature, right? I only knew my real grandpa for like 5 years. My grandpa, his name is on the moon, Gerald Epstein. He worked at Apollo 11. And of course, I asked him about UFO stuff, and he just kind of was like, no, nothing. Then again, I don't think everyone knew about it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, it's kind of tight. My grandpa's name's on the moon, Gerald Epstein. Okay? Okay.